Well, joining us now is Regina Doman. She's a wife, a mom, publisher, and author, and she joins us via Skype to talk about the sixth book in her series, a fairy tale novel for older teens and young adults. Regina, thanks for being with us today.
Hi, it's great to be here again.
Well, your fairy tale novel, Rapunzel Let Down, a fairy tale retold, is great. The book deals with humanity in a very brutally honest and thought-provoking way, and positively reflects Catholic values, but is it for everybody?
Oh, no. And actually, I'm really appreciative that you're allowing me to do this interview, because pretty much the other books in the series, this is the sixth book in the series, the other books, I've always dealt with harsh teen issues. You know what I mean? Like, I've dealt with issues like homosexuality and date rape, but I've always done it from a very subtle point of view, so that teenagers who, readers who were innocent of those experiences, well, it would go over their heads, but other readers would know exactly what I was talking about. Well, this novel is different. In this novel, I kind of really lay it out. The whole thing is very explicit. It's very clear what is being discussed, because the bulk of the book is about the consequences of premarital sex. And it's difficult to do that in a very subtle way. So I would say, yeah, it's not for everybody. Unlike my other books, which probably would be fine for about 14-year-olds, this book we say, really parental discretion is required. And I generally say it's for older teens.
Well, Regina, I happen to have it here on my Kindle, and hopefully my parents will approve of me reading it. And, the setting is contemporary. In this day and age, even when young people, teens, are reading the likes of 50 Shades of Grey, the book deals with sin, which is typically dismissed in our popular culture. So how are you able to address this in a fairy tale novel?
Well, actually, it's, given that I've been writing these books that are based on fairy tales, like usually what I do is I take a fairy tale, I put it into a modern setting, and I just retell the story with Catholic characters and themes, and lots of romance, adventure, mystery, things like that. Well, when it came to the fairy tale of Rapunzel, which is a fairy tale we don't really know very much about, you'll probably know it has to do with a girl in a tower who has really long hair, but pretty much that's all we really know about it. Disney's Tangled they did a version of Rapunzel, but it really was not very much like the actual fairy tale. Well, when you look at that actual fairy tale, Rapunzel, that fairy tale is a cautionary tale. And really, it is the story about why, especially young men, should avoid premarital sex, because it's a story about a prince who, instead of rescuing a girl from the tower, takes advantage of this kind of isolated location and the fact that she's a peasant girl and no one knows that he's there, and he gets her pregnant. Instead of rescuing her from the witch, he essentially becomes like another captor to her. He gets her pregnant, and he loves her. It's clear that he loves her, but he doesn't do the right thing. And so because of this is why he is trapped and harshly punished. And in almost every version of the fairy tale, not Disney's Tangled, but in the actual version, Rapunzel is banished to the wilderness and gives birth to twins. So it's very clear what was going on in the tower was not something that was very pure or very chaste. As for the prince, he wanders blind in the wilderness, a miserable beggar, until, and here's where the key is that made me want to tell the story, until he and Rapunzel meet each other again. And when she sees his misery, she forgives him. She weeps over him. And then he regains his sight, and he does the right thing. He marries her, he brings her and her children back to the castle, he makes her queen, and then we have the fairy tale ending. We have the happily ever after, which seems to have been so elusive for them. When he does the right thing, and when she forgives him, that's what brings about the fairy tale ending. So I thought this is a message that we need to hear today, because so much of us, we know about the misery, we know about the blindness, we know about single motherhood, but when those things happen, we forget about the power of forgiveness, and we forget about the fairy tale ending, the happy ever after that can happen if men and women, boys and girls, are willing to forgive one another. So I thought that was a very powerful story that needed to be retold in all its fullness.
Well, as you just said too, Regina, it takes these unexpected turns and addresses some topics from a guy's point of view. Tell us what made you decide to take that approach.
Well, I think it's safe to say that there really is a war on boys and a war on young men and on manhood itself going on in our culture. You know, girls, young women, you know, women, older women have a lot of reason to dislike guys or to fear or distrust them. And a lot of times those attitudes are amplified in the popular culture. They're particularly amplified in literature and in young adult literature, which is kind of a woman-dominated genre right now. You know, lots of women are lots of women are teachers, lots of women are professors, lots of women are professors of literature, and lots of today's readers are women. So I see right now, as a young adult novelist, I saw a lot of times guys were just getting slammed, upside, downside, every which way, guys are getting slammed. And I thought, well, you know what, let's go into a story like this, because there are a lot of stories on the market that deal with teenage pregnancy and deals with the effects of sexual sin. But generally speaking, they're all done from the girl's point of view. And I'm like, well, you know, I wanted to write a book that would allow a viewpoint of a young man in that situation. And because I think it is very powerful and it is very underrepresented. And I've been very pleased with the feedback I've gotten. I've actually been very moved by the feedback I've gotten from young men. They said, wow, you know, I've read your other books and this was the first book I could really relate to. This book really caught me where I'm at. This book caught me with the struggles that I'm dealing with. And I just found the struggles of the young guy who's the hero of this book really powerfully moving and affecting. And you know what? I think this book has really affected my life.
Regina.
So, wow, what can you say to that? You know?
We hope it'll affect a lot of people's lives. I have it on my Kindle. Where can people learn more about the entire series and get their own copy of the book?
Well, if you go to chestertonpress.com, you can get the book there. The book is $5 on Kindle right now because that's the preview edition. We released a special preview edition in honor of the election of Pope Francis. We usually do that with all of our books, and we dedicate them to a happening. And it seemed perfectly natural to dedicate this preview edition to Pope Francis, who we are so excited about. And by the way, I'm writing a comic book life of Pope Francis right now. That's the next thing I have on my slate.
Oh, great.
Because I did a comic book life of Pope Benedict. Now we're doing Pope Francis. Anyhow, the book is only $5 right now. When the full version, when the complete official book version of the book comes out, we are going to raise the price to $8.
Okay.
So I'm telling people, get it right now on Amazon for $5. But you can also get a hard copy, which here's the preview edition right now. And I gave you guys the official cover, which will be coming out later. Right now, you can get it at Chesterton Press and at Amazon for $25. So yes, you can get if you don't like Kindle, you can get the hard copy as well. And this is the preview edition, which is again dedicated to our Holy Father Pope Francis. There's a seal on there. But yeah, the official edition should be coming out later on this month.
Well,
but
Regina,
that's available on Amazon and at chestertonpress.com.
well, Regina, thank you so much, and thanks for joining us, and always a pleasure. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Regina. God bless.